Hey, good morning everyone. Welcome to Quarter Mile Farm. I'm just out here in the chicken run garden and I've been picking some cucumbers. Got a few more. Those will be added to the rest that I have in the fridge, and I will be making pickles today. I'm so excited. But I was just jiggling these corns around, the corn stalks around, because these tassels up here are the part that have the pollen, and the silks down here, what I've read is that there is a silk for each kernel of corn on here, and that these need to be pollinated in order for the kernels to grow. So we haven't had a lot of wind or anything here lately, so I thought I'd help out my corn a little bit by getting the pollen down to the silk. Worth a try anyway. Alright, so I've gone through the cucumbers and I picked a few more. I thought I'd have a few more than this since I didn't pick yesterday at all. But there wasn't a whole lot, just that little bit, but just fine. I have a little bit of dill here that I'm going to pick, and then I'm going to go make some pickles. Right here in this garden I had planted, and actually all of my dill in this garden should be this size, but Brent came through and weeded thinking it was a pathway, and so he weeded up all my dill. I mentioned this in another video. So anyway, I had to replant it, and I do have lots more coming up. These seeds, or these plants here, he actually missed, and so I do have some that are ready to pick. So I'm going to go ahead and snip off these dill heads here so I can add them to my jars. I will probably not have enough dill head for that at this time. But, what? You want to say something? Yeah. I can add some dill seed, just some dried dill seed, to each jar as well. Plus I think my pickling spices that I use, I think they actually have some dill seed in them as well. So we'll be fine on the dill. I just like to add the fresh dill heads to each jar. So I'll use what I got. Okay, just gonna weigh the pickles that the cucumbers that I picked this morning. Oops, guess I need to turn that on first. Then I'm gonna be making some pickles. So almost a pound, 15.3 ounces. So I'm gonna write that down. I need to wash these off a little bit, and then I'll get back out here to do the packing in the jars. Okay, so I use a recipe that my grandma used when I was a kid, and it's ended up being one of my favorites over the years. I love this pickle, and it wasn't until I was watching a Off-Grid with Doug and Stacy video about fermenting that I realized that I'm actually fermenting pickles and not pickling pickles. Because with the pickling, you use the vinegar. I don't use vinegar, I use the salt brine. So I was looking at what she was doing, and I'm like, well, that's pretty much what I'm doing with the pickles I make. So I make fermented pickles. Fermented cucumbers? I don't know. I just call them pickles because that's how I use them. Whatever. So my recipe calls for a quart jar. I use wide mouth because it's much easier to pack the cucumbers in there. And then I use 1 tablespoon of salt per quart jar. 1 clove of garlic, which I don't have any fresh garlic right now. Well, I do have some, but it's some that I'm going to be planting, so I didn't want to use any of that. But from my harvest last year, I had a whole bunch. I had like 188 heads, and I ended up making a whole lot of powdered garlic, and then I also minced garlic and I froze it. So I have a bunch of frozen minced garlic, and so I'm just gonna pop one of these out and put one of them in each jar. And that's about how much garlic I would use. Seems like more like 2 or 3 cloves, but I like a lot of garlic in there. So 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 clove of garlic, 1 teaspoon of pickling spice, and 1 head of dill. Now I already showed you, I just have some pitiful dill right now. Just really itty bitties. So I'm just going to put one of these in each jar. And then my pickling spice actually has some dill seed in it, so those will work fine. It should get enough dill flavor in there. The garlic's the better flavor anyway, right? Alright, so let's get to this. I like to put all this stuff in the bottom of the jar first, and then I pack the cucumbers in. I like being able to make one jar at a time versus like having to get a whole pack of cucumbers together to make a whole batch of them with whatever brine that you create. This is so much more simple. You can make it as you get the cucumbers from the garden rather than, I mean, in my case I waited a few days, but you don't really have to. I just didn't have time. My slider came off of my pickling salt container, jar, bag, whatever it is. Yeah, last week was really busy, so I just didn't have time to get out all the pickling stuff. So, let's see. Got the salt, got the garlic, got the dill, pickling spices, 1 teaspoon of that. And this pickling spice is kind of nice because it has some chili in it, red chili, and it adds a nice little extra spice to it. I don't always want that extra spice, but it is nice to have that little zing in there. Okay, so 1 teaspoon of that. And then I don't want a whole one of these in there, but I'll break off some of it and put in there. Okay, then I'm going to pack it. Now I have this huge one. Look at that. I might use this one for something else, another pickle recipe, but I think I don't know. I'm still deciding on this one. I'll save it for another jar and think about it while I work on things. Alright, so now I just grab some of the bigger ones and then I fill in the smaller ones as I go. Let's see, there's nice room for a nice small one down in here. There we go. It's nice to have some smaller ones. I don't have a whole lot of smaller ones right now. Okay, that should just about do it. And then I'll fill the jar up to water here. And then I just I've switched to using these versus the metal lids for making the pickles. But I just do this and then I put the ring on loosely and then we turn it upside down for 24 hours and then we turn it right back up. And then I've learned over the years that you need to burp them. I don't remember what exactly my grandma did at this stage. I just remember turning them over, turning them back over, and then we wait 2 weeks before we can use them. But I don't remember what all she did during that time, if she, you know, loosened them so they could burp or what exactly. And so I've always had troubles with like the water coming out and spilling out and the lids bulging. So I've kind of learned over the years that I just need to, you know, every day or twice a day or whatever, just to kind of burp the fermentation gases out, whatever. Okay, so 1 jar done. How many jars do you think we'll get today? Still have that many cucumbers left. Okay, I'm gonna get these done real quick and then I'll show you what we have, how much we have. I'm just about done. I'm just got a couple pickles left to use besides this one. I'm not using this one mainly because it's so big for this jar, but also this size makes good spears, pickle spears, and I have another recipe that I use for my husband that makes those like refrigerator, like Clausen style pickles, and this kind of size makes really good pickles for that. So I might see how long I can hold on to this one in the fridge and maybe get some other ones to make a recipe for him. You saw me unpacking this a little bit. It's because I had forgotten there was a cucumber that had some spoilage on the end. So I'm just going to get a knife. I thought I brought one out here with me, but I can't see it now. So just going to trim that off and then stick it back in there. And then I'll probably run out to the garden and see if I can't get another 1 or 2 small pickles to fill this up, because it's not quite filling up with what I have right here. So I'm going to go do those things and then I'll show you the finished products. Okay, I went out and grabbed a couple more cucumbers, and this puts me actually right at the 1 pound mark for my harvesting cucumbers today. So yay! That makes actually 4 pounds total for my cucumbers. Let's trim that stuff off. Stick that down in there. Actually, it's a puzzle sometimes trying to fit everything in here. And I have this jug of water out here. Come on. We'll make it work. Okay, it's usually more space than I like to leave. I think I'm going to go out and grab 1 more small cucumber. Okay, so I got this one last little pickle here, cucumber here, so I'm just going to stick it right in there. Alright, now all I need to do is add water. And I use well water. I wouldn't recommend using city water because they like to put stuff in it that's, you know, not good for canning, like chlorine. So use bottled water or distilled water, or boil some water, or fill a container and let it sit out for a little bit so the chlorine dissipates. Whatever you need to do for this, but don't use city water. So I just fill it till the cucumbers are covered. And then I put the lids on. Okay, well, I left the rings inside, so I'll take care of that in a minute. But the rest of the directions are, I think I already covered it. You put the rings on, tight enough so the liquid doesn't escape, and then you flip them over and you let them set undisturbed for about 24 hours. And then you turn them back over, and then that's just what I do with them. If you have a fermenting kit and want to follow it that way, that works too. This is just how I was taught to do it, so that's what I do. And that's about it. So we have a pound of pickling cucumbers harvested for the Every Bit Counts challenge, and 4 jars of pickles made, and in 2 weeks these will be ready. I'm so excited. Thanks for joining us today here at Quarter Mile Farm. We will see you next time. Bye. What you doing?
I am building a box for it.
Oh, very cool. You got a nice big box there, huh? Well, if you need anything, need more boxes, we have some more in the garage. Yeah.